allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Can we begin with a roll call?
Roll call.
Chris Argyropoulos, student rep to the board.
Pam McLeod.
Lila Atkins.
Karen Peritono.
Bob Cullison.
Peter Levitt?
Eunice Landry.
Jake Fitzpatrick. Jason Henry.
Christy Heichel.
Everett Clark.
Okay. Let's start with some public input. Do we have any public input this evening? No? Just taking it all in? All right. Seeing none, a review of the agenda.
I make a motion that we approve the agenda as submitted.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next up, let's approve the minutes from September 4th.
I move we approve the minutes from September 4th as submitted.
I have a couple of things.
Yeah.
I have.
Second for discussion.
Discussion.
I have two things. On page 3, section 8A about disposal of IT equipment. I had stated that Alton changed their policy so that the IT department could dispose of old equipment rather than necessarily bringing it to the board every time. That's in a nutshell.
You didn't say they had to use it before they disposed it?
No.
Sorry.
That's all right. On page 4, there was I think, I might be wrong, I think Eliza's last name was spelled incorrectly on D.
Yeah.
Correction, page 1, Chairperson Landry Levitt. Call the meeting to order.
Let's pick one.
It's a mesh.
Another correction on page 1 is I was actually not present for that meeting.
And he double-checked the video.
I did. I went to the video review and I was not there.
He went to the booth.
That was very confusing for Everett. He was asking about that tonight because he says, I have no recollection of this meeting.
What's your name again?
Exactly.
I make a motion to accept the minutes as amended.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I'll abstain.
Everett abstain as well?
Yes, unless I was there. Maybe I had a cloaking device on. I don't know.
All right, 2 abstentions.
What was the other abstention?
Eunice.
Yep. Okay. Let's go to the superintendent communications. Or do you want to start?
Why don't we start with our new
All right,
student visitors? to the
let's
board.
start with our new student representative.
Right. This is Chris Argyropoulos. He is the president of Student Council. Student Council is the organization that selects the student body rep. Chris is also a member of National Honor Society, member of the senior class, high-ranking student in the senior class. So.
Excellent.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you. Before starting, I'd like to thank Chairman Levitt and the rest of the board for the opportunity to have student interaction and input at these board meetings. As you may know, September can be an eventful month for athletics and activities. Many great things have happened throughout the school during the month of September, and this report will go over the highlights of the month, especially for things that happen at the end of the month. The report will start with overall school activities, then go to extracurricular activities and clubs, and finally to athletics. The school had their back-to-school night last Thursday, September 27th, where parents got to meet their students' teachers and get oriented with their child's schedule. Band, chorus, and robotics had performances that night, and most, if not all clubs, had representation with their own tables that parents could visit to learn about clubs and activities. It was a successful night overall, and it was a great chance for parents of freshmen and new PMHS students to become familiar with our community. On Friday during homeroom, we had our Good News Assembly, where Mr. Fitzpatrick announced everything good that had happened within Prospect over the month. There, he announced that Isabel Huggard was Prospect Student of the Month for her kindness, attitude, and dedication to the Prospect community. Now, moving on to club activities, Student Council hosted their back-to-school dance on Friday, September 28th, which saw over 180 attendees. The dance was well-received and was run entirely by students under the advisory of Mr. McStravick. Student Council is now looking forward to the future, planning for events such as the Winter Bash Week in December and Winter Carnival Week in February. Student Council is always open to new members. Humans Helping Humans is currently working on rebuilding their ranks, as many of their members from last year graduated. They are also planning what to do for Red Ribbon Week, the nationwide anti-drug campaign which runs from October 23rd to October 31st. They'll also be helping with Trick or Treat Night, giving candy out to kids who come to PMHS for their trick-or-treating. The PMHS Marching Timberwolves had an explosive performance during both back-to-school night and the all-school assembly, under the direction of Senior Drum Major Mackenzie Burke. They, along with the school's color guard, will be going to the Dover Band Show on October 13th to perform with other schools, and will also play at the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer Walk on the 14th. October has a lot in store for this group. The Triumph Music Honor Society is currently working on recruitment and will be opening the application process sometime this month. They will be hosting a tea for Alton senior citizens on the 17th and will also be helping with Trick or Treat Night. Chorus also had a performance at Back to School Night with a chamber singers performance. They will be collaborating with band on a lot of things this year, and during October they will be sending performers to the Voices of the 603 concert, which promotes a cappella music and chorus as a whole. The Outing Club had their first trip last month on Moon Island out in Squam Lake, and it was an overall success. Their next trip will be in November. The robotics team was able to show off their talents last month in Back to School Night. They will be participating in a competition this month, and they will be preparing for Battle of the Bay in November. Last but not least is athletics, which is always eventful during the fall season. Bass fishing finished first at the state qualifier for the Largemouth Championship in 2018. Golf is currently 8 in their division, with 12 wins and 9 losses, and will compete in the Golf Championship on the 11th of this month. Volleyball is currently 4th in their division, with 7 wins and 1 loss, and their Dig Pink Night on the 4th, this Thursday, to support the fight against breast cancer, will be held in support of someone close to the team that also has connections with the fight against breast cancer. Senior night is October 19th at 6 o'clock. Girls soccer is currently 7th in their division with 5 wins, 2 losses, and 2 ties. Their senior night is also October 16th at 3:30. Boys soccer is currently 14th in their division with 4 wins, 4 losses, and 1 tie. Their senior night is the 19th at 4 o'clock. Unified soccer is currently 18th in their division with 0 wins and 2 losses, and there is no senior night this year because there are no seniors in unified soccer. Cross country will be competing within Division 3 for their championships on the 27th of this month. And with that, the report is concluded. If there are any questions that the board has, I'm willing to answer anything that they can throw. Once again, I'd like to thank Mr. Levitt and the rest of the board for student representation, as that promotes a better sense of community between the students and the board. I look forward to working with the board over the course of this year. Thank you.
Nice job.
Well done.
Nice job, Chris.
With all that to go through, we should make sure we have water for you next time.
Nudge.
Okay, you heard Chris mention the Battle of the Bay coming up in November. A couple of hours ago, I had one of the teachers come into my office. He was very upset, concerned that he had missed the deadline for the October school board meeting because he had a request that comes before the board annually. It's Mr. Heichel. representing robotics. He said, the next board meeting will be early November. He says, we've got papers that we have to get out for the robotics sleepover for the Battle of the Band. He said, would you please take that to the board this evening? So I promised him I would, and I'd do it during the superintendent's presentation. So he's asking permission for the annual sleepover to occur Friday, November 9th to Saturday, November 10th, when the Battle of the Bands will be held. Officer Sullivan of the Alton Police Department has already agreed to chaperone the overnight chaperoning, as well as the teachers that are involved with robotics and the teachers of the clubs, the other robotics clubs all over the region. So if the board could make a motion to approve that, be most appreciated by me and by, I'm sure, Mr. Heichel.
Make a motion that we approve the requested overnight for the robotics club.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
One abstention.
Well, at least you're not against it.
No, well.
What?
Gets him out of the
Gets Brian out of the house, right?
My husband's gone for the night. Wait, yes, in favor.
Okay, with that, I'll turn it over to Jay.
Good evening. Like Chris mentioned, one of the things, a tradition that we started last year was we have a good news assembly. It's the last Friday of the month, and we highlight all positive, good things that have happened to students, both here at the school and in the community. And so we had several things that are certainly worth mentioning. We had 3 students, they're juniors this year. This past summer, Tessa Carter, Riley Gray, Alina Hardy attended what's called the 2018 Health Careers Institute at Dartmouth College. This was something actually you can help contribute to. This was one of those student events that End of the Year Funds assisted with. They got to spend a week up at Dartmouth exploring all the different health career related fields. I got feedback from the folks who hosted it and said that our girls were terrific, and these girls are terrific, and I think it was a great opportunity. So they thank you, I thank you for that. Freshman Maddie Fifield represented New Hampshire at the Big E. It's the Eastern States Exposition 4-H Horse Show down in West Springfield, Mass. This happened the end of September, beginning of September, after the board meeting though. She was selected through a rigorous equestrian competition at the county and state level. So it was neat to recognize a freshman, although scary because it is horses, and as you know, I am fearful of horses. But senior percussionist Randy Dyer, he's an excellent drummer. He was actually selected amongst 500. He was selected amongst hundreds, possibly thousands of students. He's going to be down in at Walt Disney World in Orlando, joining 530 other students from across the country as part of this ensemble that they've put together. So it was a rigorous audition. He qualified. It's pretty awesome. If you've ever seen or heard Randy play, he's incredible. So it's quite the honor. So he will be down at the 2018 All-National Honor Ensemble this November.
Pardon me, Jay. Will that be live streamed or anything? Will that be?
That's a great question. I don't know, but I will certainly find
That
out.
would be something that if we could get a copy of it. I know Walt Disney's kind of touching on what they disseminate.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'll certainly ask, and if that's the case, I'll push it out to Sharon to push it out to y'all.
Cool.
Yeah. Let's see. Covered that. We away from the good news assembly stuff, we're up and running. School. It's actually been busy. Mr. Canfield, the new assistant principal, and I have been fairly busy. We've had. I think it was last year that wasn't until the end of October where we started dealing with discipline, and we were dealing with discipline issues 2 or 3 weeks ago. Very interesting, but building's running smooth. I think people are feeling supported and safe, and we're gonna continue to do the best we can to create that environment. So, unless anyone has any question.
Very good. All right. Do you have any follow-up items from last meeting, do we?
Just one thing. I was instructed at the last meeting to invite the contingency from Gilmanton to stop in for a visit, and I did. I extended the invitation. And I got a email last week asking for some potential dates. And I provided those, and it looks like they're going to be visiting Prospect Mountain High School in the morning of October 15th, 9 to 11 is the time frame.
Is that the election day? It's voting day.
Well,
2 hours.
they won't be interfering with the voting because they'll be in the building. We're in the building where the educational program's taking place. We just won't take them through the auditorium.
Are you looking for a member to be there?
If somebody would like to be there, you're more than welcome to come.
Because I'm available.
Okay.
Okay, informational action items. AP US History Gettysburg trip.
There's a request in your packet from Mr. Mark Bingham. He's asking for the potential dates the first week of November. It's a two-part letter. First of all, it's an appeal to the board to try to maintain funding in his budget because the trip is an expensive trip, and he was able to find some money working with Mr. Fitzpatrick in the budget so that he can continue with the trip this year. But then the second letter is his request for dates the first week of November. He would like to take a trip down to Gettysburg, the annual trip, with a group of about 17 of his AP students. And since this is an overnight trip, he usually leaves on a Thursday or Friday and comes back on a Monday, but I think he's talked to Mr. Fitzpatrick about some potential date changes there. So I think there's some flexibility there, but because it's an overnight trip and it's an out-of-state trip, he has to have permission from the board in order to have the field trip. And that's what he's asking for in this letter.
I had a question about the letter. He mentions the difference between last year and this year where there was a competitive or some kind of prerequisite to enter the AP history class, and now there's not, and that's one reason why it's hard to fund the trip because there are more students. What was the change why that was changed? Why was that changed?
The AP history exam has in past years restricted some kids who are qualified and able to get into that class, and it's a method that's used to limit the amount of kids who get into that class, and keeping that number anywhere from 9 to 14. The junior class this year, which is a very strong academic class, we had a lot of students who were recommended for AP, and I didn't feel it was a good idea to restrict any of those kids from having the opportunity to take it. So I had explained to Mr. Bingham that we were not going to offer that competitive exam and that the students who signed up to take it should have the opportunity to take it.
So there's no restriction at all for the AP class?
No teacher recommendation and a prerequisite of having a certain grade in the honors world history class that they take in 10th grade. Yes, yes.
You couldn't even on to mention the 5 kids dropped out.
So 22 kids signed up for AP. In the original, one of the original options was to divide it into 2 sections and have 2 classes of hopefully 10 in one, 11 in the other. It was then decided to just run one section of it, which was Mr. Bingham's request. We explained to him that as we see with other AP classes, they have summer work. If kids don't do summer work, they come back to school in the fall. Without that summer work, they've eliminated themselves from AP. And so we explained to Mr. Bingham that he needs to follow that same precedent that other AP classes do. So 22 kids had left school last June with AP history on their calendar, came back on the first day of school, had not completed the summer assignment, and that number is down to 17 now.
But that wasn't a change in the requirement, and you've always been You said it was the first time it's ever happened.
It was the first time that we've eliminated the competitive exam. And what he's saying, which I off the top of my head, I couldn't corroborate, that's the first time that kids have dropped that class, which it's quite possible that that's the case. It's quite possible that it's not. I'm not sure.
So relying on the summer work is not something new?
It's not something new for him. All the AP courses, and in fact some of the honors classes, also rely on summer work. He has in the past, when kids did not complete their summer work, they remained in AP class. It's never been the means for him to eliminate kids. But we explained to him this year that he could take a stronger stance and put his foot down and say, this is the expectation. If you don't meet it, then you're out.
I move we approve the overnight out-of-state trip to Gettysburg.
Second?
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Moving on to committee reports. Let's move to buildings and grounds.
Do you want to go with, we have a bunch of bids to go over. Do you want to go over those first, or do you want to talk about other stuff?
Let's do the bids first, and then
Okay.
Which I attached to the
I read those. Just can't see them.
So the first one will be snowplow bid.
How do you need one?
Can you see those?
I could pull it up.
Actually, have one
Huh?
I was there, I saw it.
Share with your neighbor.
You can have that.
Share with your neighbor.
so where is it? It's not in the packet.
No, it was attached to the drive. There was a separate file in the drive, but I didn't see it in the actual 22-page packet.
So-
Right, I actually put it in this morning. Okay. So it's in there. If you guys want it.
The buildings and grounds, our recommendation is going with the Alton Excavation, PDK, for 2 years, because we get a reduced rate. If we lock in 2 years, it'd be for $38,500 for the 50% sand and salt mixture. And also, we also recommend sand cleanup for $5,250, locked up 2 years. The sand and salt, the sand cleanup was added to this bid, because usually in the spring, it's done by a landscaping company, if I'm correct, right? But landscaping can't be done until the sand is all cleaned up anyways. And this is, putting these both together, I had more than we budgeted, but we subtract the $2,500 out of the landscaping bid that we won't be doing for the sand. It's all covered. And this was also not only the one that maintenance recommended, it was the lowest bid as well.
So who are you recommending?
First one, Alton
Who
Excavation.
has been doing it?
That's the company that's been doing it the last couple of years.
And they've done a good job being timely with plowing, sanding, no issues with, yeah. Figured I'd ask that question just to make sure we.
Yeah, that was Rob Buildings and Grounds. They're very pleased. They're here on site a lot
Okay.
and do a good job. So I recommend the contract for plowing and sanding and salting, also sand cleanup to Alton Excavation PDK for $38,500 locked in for 2 years, and then the $5,250 for the sand cleanup also.
Twice. She seconded.
I'm really excited.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
This is not bids, but the Eagle system, which was the, for the gunshot system, they showed up last week here, and elementary school started putting stuff in. They're supposed to be back here again at the high school tonight and installing more stuff and more wiring tonight. The whole project is looking to be wrapped up by Friday. So, along with tying into that, the security cameras were also upgraded here at the school, plus more cameras added inside and outside, to be all tied in together with the system. Unless I missed anything in there. Nope. Moving on to field drainage.
It's a good thing to talk about tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. There has been some progress on it. They are getting deep tying by Boston Company next week, which is basically aeration. They won't be pulling plugs out, so there won't be any mess all over the field, so it'll still be able to be used, which should help with some of the drainage. Then is also looking at, if I get this right, shatter tying.
Shatter time.
Also, they'll be looking at that possibility, which is actually cutting the fields and the slants, creating more aeration basically in the fields to help with the drainage, because there's a lot of packed soil that is just in talks of for right now, which would be a big help for come spring.
He said he did a walkthrough with Kingswood, and they've used this method and had good success with
And it's not overly expensive, so. HVAC. We started working on it?
We're waiting, there were shipping problems.
That's right.
He's waiting to get parts and things in, so he's been in contact with the vendors.
Some concrete work has been done. Scheduled to be done. Repeaters and radios, we're still waiting on those, right? They're coming in. And
what are those specifically for? Are they for?
They're replace the ones that we currently have, because they're not.
And it's just for your,
Yes, it's
your
for-
in-house
it's for the
radios?
in-house.
and they're here, they're just being programmed right now.
Okay.
That's all I think I had from the buildings and grounds. Unless I missed anything.
Very good. Let's move on to Finance Committee.
We actually met tonight. We were able to get some high-level overview on the proposed budget. We have a draft. So we went over a few things tonight. Our real next budget meeting will be on October 16th. And that's all I have.
Is there, in my thing here, I did a bunch of policies. Was there a policy meeting? Is this some stuff that we need to go over? I don't have anything on my,
I think that's from former meetings.
it's from all former stuff. Okay. Well,
Would be right up to personnel report.
right to the personnel report.
Okay, on page 9, there's a letter from Patricia Keneally, one of our special education teachers, writing to inform that she'll be retiring from Prospect Mountain High School at the end of the 2018-19 school year. If you've read her letter, although she's looking forward to retirement, she's going to miss the wonderful colleagues whom she's had the pleasure to work with over the last 12 years, and she's grateful for the time spent assisting special education students, and is particularly glad that she spent the last years of her career in such a wonderful school. So I would recommend that we accept Ms. Keneally's letter of retirement.
I move we accept the retirement of Patricia Keneally at the end of this school year
I'll second.
with regrets.
Yes, with regret.
That's all right? No? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
I've written a letter to the board and to inform you that I will not be seeking to renew my contract as superintendent at the end of this contract year. I've come to a time in my life where I want to spend some more time with family and traveling. I've been honored and privileged to serve in the capacity of superintendent of Prospect Mountain High School since July of 2012. It's truly a remarkable school. You've got great kids, great administration, great teachers. It's a wonderful place to work, all within a supportive community.
Not to mention a great board.
Not to mention a great board.
You forgot that part.
Giving my notification at this time so that impact on the budget could be minimized and to provide the board with adequate time to search for a suitable replacement. I appreciate all your support over the years. I wish you much future success, and I've been proud to serve in the capacity of superintendent. It's a great place, and I'm going to miss you all. But not for a while. I'm not going anywhere until July 1st.
I move that we accept the retirement of Doc Paulson with regrets.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
I'd just like to put out there, since we're talking about superintendent, that ACS is just starting a superintendent search, and we set up a pretty good process for that I think we could bring to the board as something we could do here also as far as the selection process and involving parents in the community on that committee. So we could push that forward to the board if we need.
We're already in the process.
Yes. Let's add that to our agenda.
And I'd just like to say I really appreciate that early notification. I think that that's really helpful for us as a board. Hasn't always happened around here in the past, and I think it's good.
Yeah, I think I was a late hire. I think I was hired in June to start in July. True, it's fact. The next is a leave of absence request. One of our new teachers' daughter is scheduled for surgery in October. It's going to require extensive around-the-clock care. She's requesting leave from October 17th to November 15th in order to remain home to care for her daughter. She's offered to provide instructional assistance, to respond to emails, assist with questions the substituted students may have, also assist with preparation of lessons and grading. So because she's a beginning teacher, she doesn't have much in the way of sick leave or accrued time. She also isn't eligible for family and medical leave because she hasn't worked long enough. So we're recommending that she be paid at the teacher substitute rate for the 2 periods of prep time so that she can work from home to prepare lessons for the substitute. Since it's temporary, we think that the substitute will be able to adequately maintain the classroom if they're getting good instruction from home. So we would recommend that you approve Ms. Yell's request.
So what was your recommendation?
I think I got it. I move that we approve the leave of absence request for Kathleen Yell, including pay for 2 hours per day at the substitute rate.
2 hours or 2 periods?
2 periods.
For planning
At the
purposes.
professional substitute rate, when we pay teachers when they cover for each other's classes.
Okay.
Second.
What do you think?
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Okay, then we've got some resignations. On page 12, Sarah Kiley is asking, she's letting us know that she's going to be leaving her position because of her daughter's anxiety disorder, leaving her in need of homeschooling. She was working out well. She was looking forward to the opportunity of working with us for the coming school year and the coming summer program. She had worked with us last summer, so this happened after the beginning of the school year, as you can see, September 17th. So I would recommend that we accept the resignation of Ms. Sarah Kiley.
Make a motion to accept the resignation of Sarah Kiley.
Second.
Okay, I'm going to pass out,
All in favor?
Aye.
sorry, jumping the gun. I hate to bring these in. This is another resignation. We got this, as you can see by the stamp, late this morning. This is a beginning teacher, first-year teacher. Apparently, teaching isn't something that he's interested in doing. He's asking to have October 26th be his last day or earlier if a replacement is found and able to begin prior to that date. So I would recommend that we accept the resignation of Brandon Edgerly from the part-time mathematics teacher position at Prospect Mountain High School.
I move we accept the resignation of Brandon Edgerly, part-time math teacher,
Second.
on October 26th, 2018.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now, I also have another paper that I would like to pass out as we get into new hires. One of those is for you, Heidi. When you lose a teacher this early in the school year, it's difficult. This was a difficult position to fill in the first place because it's a part-time math position. We had very few applicants and very, very few qualified applicants for the job. And so replacing that position at this time of the year was one that was of paramount importance. This teacher teaches Algebra 2 and geometry classes. So we reached out to Mr. Paul Hitchings, who was a former teacher, part-time teacher here at Prospect Mountain High School, retired last year. And he has consented to come back again this year to finish out the year. We'll reevaluate at the end of the year as to what we need to do with that position. It may be a position that we can eliminate, or we may have to enhance that position in order to fill it. But we would do that with the positions that we have on staff. So my recommendation would be that and you'll see that it's a pro rata salary. You know, we pick him up at his last year's salary minus the days that have already been worked by teachers. So it would be for 157 remaining teacher days, and that would be his salary, $32,411.34.
How many hours a week?
He would be working 3 periods with 1 planning period. So it's 0.57.
I know, but how many hours?
It's about 4 hours a day times 20 hours.
How many hours a week? I just want to make sure because he's retired.
Yep. He was retired when he was working with us part-time before.
Retired.
Yeah. So we know we've got a quality teacher here. We'd like to bring him back to make this process as seamless as possible. We looked at other possibilities, of course, trying to get a substitute who's qualified in mathematics. It's next to impossible. And then looking to find out whether we could extend the teaching of the other teachers in the department, which creates problems because then they're giving up planning time, preparation time. It's valuable to them. So we even looked at, could we collapse these classes into existing classes, but that would make the numbers too large, and of course it would mess up a lot of kids' schedules. So this is the most plausible solution, so we would recommend that we ask Mr. Hitchens if he can return.
I move we, I'm losing my words. Approve the hire of Paul Hitchings, part-time mathematics teacher.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
He does understand that he's not eligible for a second retirement bonus. We made that very clear.
But a third.
Okay, and then we move on to page 13. Paraprofessional Lynn Alden, replacing Marion Clegg. We recommend Lynn Alden for the position of paraprofessional.
I move we recommend Lynn Alden for the position of paraprofessional.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And then we have a couple of kitchen positions. Cashier and kitchen assistant, replacing Norma Richdy. We're asking the board to approve Nancy DeLeo.
I move we approve the hire of Nancy Deland.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And then the final new hire is Garion Hardin, replacing Russell Rohek, who replaced Jimmy for a very short period of time.
I move we approve the hire of Gary and Hardin.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And that should do it.
Okay.
Except for the new co-curricular stipends, and I'll let Jay talk.
Okay. Co-curricular stipends.
Jay, would you like to speak to those?
The co-curricular positions are the active clubs that are in effect this year. What you see here is the stipend amount as well as the current advisor.
Are there any changes from last year?
Yes, Garden Club advisor, which is unfilled at this point, we've had a garden club for the past 2 years. The person who was voluntarily doing it has left. So I've put that out there for anyone who is interested. No takers as of yet. Also, the weight room supervisor position has been eliminated. Just not enough participation to sustain it. Otherwise, everything remains the same in terms of position and amounts. The advisors have changed in a couple of positions.
I move we accept the co-curricular stipends and advisors.
Second.
Any discussion?
Can we just make a note to look at the orientation of the pages in the packet next time? If, we're all sort of cranky on heads now.
No more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I abstain. Who abstained? I do.
All right. Any public input? No. Nothing for non-public? Future items, we will be adding superintendent search. Any other business?
I would just note for the record that at the Alton deliberative session, the warrants for the CDA contract were moved to voting on October 15th without any changes.
Excellent. Next meeting is November 6th.
Just look there, Kaylee Pycock, who graduated from here last year, right? Is it 2 years ago? She works for me. I just want you to know that she's graduating from the Corrections Academy on October 12th. She's doing very well, so just want to throw that out there. She came from here. We have another officer that came from here as well, too, who's doing very well. Not in the academy yet, but she's graduating.
Cool. So
Motion to
someone
adjourn.
would like to make a
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion? Like, really, do I have to,
I
like,
gotta be quick.
do I have to drag it?
Well, we don't want to
All
go
in
too
favor?
fast.
All in favor?
Aye.
I dragged these other.